Also, as a German, I think to some point you have to live up to the stereotypes that surround your nationality. So drinking beer seems the easiest thing to do that. And we're started. I will get my predictions for the first and second item in early. It will be Morph Ball and it will be a reserve tank. Total not giving us a moonfall, but Ponk doing so. Yeah, welcome back. We've started just half a minute ago. You still have the opportunity to get your guesses in.
Okay, what did you guess? Did you say reserve tank again?
Of course, I always say that.
Okay, I'm gonna go with ice beam.
Ooh, a risky guess.
Like yours aren't.
They're not as risky as Ice Beam. After all, there's 4 reserve tanks in the pool.
Ooh. I like this.
And someone in chat actually predicted Spring Ball. So yeah, everybody be distracted from me guessing right so often in the last 2 matches and instead burn whoever said that in chat. Trying to get out alive on this. And Total having a bit of trouble getting the Spring Ball in the ceiling.
Right,
and going for the Gamer setup.
It's gonna give Ponk the edge. Maybe enough of an edge so you could check Gauntlet.
Do you really think any of the 2 runners will check Gauntlet early?
They could have a gentleman's agreement where they both check it. They have
well, on the
power
other
bombs to get in and out now.
And I guess if one of them does it, the other will just do the same. I mean, we saw the last match between the 2 that Ponk won, and they basically exactly did the same things everywhere. Oh, except actually checking Mother Brain E-Tank. Mother Brain missiles.
No supers yet.
Well, we might have gotten a seed where the first super missile is really late and in a really bad position.
What? Yeah.
Like,
what if the only early supers that you could get were at the end of Gauntlet?
I was about to mention that possibility. And as I said earlier, you shouldn't do early Gauntlet except when it's worth it. And Bomb Torizo is offering us
a reserve tank.
Yeah, not what you want to see there. Not what you want to see at all.
Maybe it's what they deserve.
Yeah, reserve tank. Reserve tank is the item you deserved, not the item you needed.
Total struggling with the climb a little bit.
Yeah, if you do 3 of those tournament matches in a row, that's taxing mentally because you have to be concentrated and on point all the time. Oh, there's the early ice beam. you wanted to see at the first two items.
You know, Total knows he's behind, right? He took quite a while to get the ceiling item, and then he struggled in the climb. I wonder if he's gonna make a risky move. Maybe we'll see a route divergence at some point because of it. Like checking early gauntlet.
We might be in for that. Indeed, Total is going to the ship and he's probably going to save for either being able... Or well, he does not have supers yet. I'm pretty sure if he does not die, he's going to go to the end of Gauntlet in the hopes of at least getting supers out of that. In the meantime, Ponk is doing the usual tour through Brinstar, finding yet another reserve tank.
Total! He just lost so much health.
And wisely deciding to empty his reserves early, because if you're getting your reserves refilled while you're in that acid, you could just as well not have the reserve in the first place.
That was a nice return mock ball. Bombs! Is that gonna help him? Maybe a little bit, not a lot. It's fairly easy to maintain a decent inventory of power bombs.
Especially if you already have 2 packs of those. And Ponk finding Wave Beam in the Etikun basement. Nice item, but not the kind of progression item you're looking for to get yourself just ready to finish that game.
Oh, third pack of power bombs and then supers.
Yeah, I guess Total will pick up both and just be done with power bombs entirely.
Nope.
He won't. I wonder if you're going to see basically an exact copy of the first match, where Ponk did check Gauntlet early and basically never made up the time that he took for that.
Maybe. It'll be like poetry.
Yeah, the only thing that is kind of disturbing thinking about this possibility is that it wouldn't really be symmetric since there wasn't a tie in the second match.
Speed
Also,
booster.
Nice. So we're getting early waterway checks in every single one of these runs.
Ooh.
That's taking away one route divergence option, the risky waterway check, that you usually have.
Oh,
I don't think so. Also, shoutouts to Ponk for remembering that he had Wave Beam and not attempting to supering open that gate.
Spring Ball was in... It was the ceiling item at the beginning. Spazer. Wave Ice and Spazer. That's nice.
Yeah, that's a decent combination for early in the game.
Dang. Farming for health is going to be so slow. So I think these little red bugs like to drop 5 health more than they like to drop 20.
I'm not sure on the drop chances, but he's probably going to take quite a bit of time anyways. And there's the full health. That's going to be our waterway check.
Another deserved tank.
Yeah, well, I have to make a prediction for the rest of the items that we're going to see. They are very, very unlikely to be reserve tanks. We got pretty much all of them out of the way. What did we?
We have 3 of the 4.
Oh yeah, right. We only have 3. So there's still a slim chance of seeing a reserve tank. But yeah, at this point, the runners can look forward to only find useful items in major sports, at least until they have enough E-tanks.
Wave gate room is really scary if you don't have any E-tanks. Didn't open the door behind him.
Oh, that's going to bite him because he now has to kill all of those hoppers again.
Look at his
And
ammo.
if I was about to say, he only has 2 missiles and a super.
Well, there's one thing he can do that I've learned from doing door randos, is if he... You know where that little platform comes up on the right-hand side? From the ground? If you land power bomb there, it'll actually kill everything. And Total died. That is not good for race 3.
I was getting all the people really hyped up about seeing a really, really close match. But this is oh, that's a really strong setback for Total.
Yeah, I don't see him making a comeback.
I wouldn't go that far. We haven't seen a lot of this seed yet, and there might be some things that that might lead to interesting decisions by the runners, or basically hunting for certain items. But yeah, Total is at a big disadvantage now.
Nice 3 super crate entrance by Ponk.
Making it look smooth and easy. And Ponk making his way to crate, while Total is basically redoing most of his sprint star.
Well, okay, on the bright side, a lot of these items early on have been reserve tanks, and he knows to just skip all of them.
Yeah, that's true. That death could have been a lot more punishing if they would have found important items. And now he can basically just skip the second room on early supers, and he will probably skip some other stuff too.
Crates down.
Yeah, Ponk is a mean guy, raising up Crate and then lowering him down into the ground just to get him some exercise, which might actually be healthy if you look at Crate. I guess him him gaining all that weight while he was in that room was not the smartest idea, since the doors are so small, he probably can't get out.
You're right. Unless there's like a secret underground exit.
I've actually written a tool that reads out the map data from Super Metroid ROMs, and I couldn't find any secret exit on that room. I guess Great just locked himself in.
So I think Ponk has everything he needs for Suitless Meridia right now. Not that he's gonna do it, but the option's there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure but he also has Varia suit. And I guess, I'm pretty sure he will of course now check the original high jump location. And also Ice Beam. And Andy decides to check Ice Beam before high jump, so I don't expect him to go to Croc directly, because if he wanted to have this option for himself, he would have probably first gone for high jump, since you can directly go to Crocomire from speed.
Gravity
Oh,
seed is free.
indeed. Unless something really unexpected happens, I think we're going to see a very quick race in a very quick third round.
So the only
but yeah,
thing Ponk really needs now is charge.
or just loads of ammo.
Charge
but
me,
yeah,
quote me.
I will if you are right. But yeah, usually the runners check, or often runners check high jump first, because you can then, if the need should arise, directly go from Ice Beam down to Croc, which is a bit faster. And I won't quote you. It's an E-tank.
It's good because I never said it.
Said what?
Yeah.
I heard nothing. But yeah, my prediction is that Ponk is now going to check Bubble Mountain.
I agree.
And there is a statistically pretty high chance that he's going to find some more E-tanks among the items. And chances are that he will end up with the decision to do an early lower Norfair. He will probably find some minor items that make it possible to kill Ridley without charge beam. He has Varia and Gravity, which makes entry into lower Norfair really easy. And doing lower Norfair early is quite advantageous in terms of traveling time, since you don't have to go back to Norfair again. And Total is making his way up to an early wrecked ship. So we finally see route divergence between the two runners.
I think that's a smart idea, even though we know it won't pan out. But he died. He's going to have to make some risky plays and hope that it pays off.
Yeah. He probably assumes that Ponk doesn't have had the problems that he was facing with dying. And so Ponk in his situation would do what Ponk has done and go down to Kraden Norfair. And his thinking was maybe to exactly not do that in the hopes of getting lucky, because he has seen the results of the races in terms of time, and he knows Ponk, and he probably also knows that they're about the same speed in general. So his only hopes are basically doing something else and hoping to get lucky. Because if he does the same as Ponk, he has to hope that Ponk makes a mistake too. And Ponk finding another E-tank. And I guess at 4 E-tanks, Ponk will be doing fine. Will be fine doing an early lower Norfair. And it seems like the entryway to the wrecked ship is a bit slippery, with Total falling down repeatedly.
Those are some surprisingly difficult jumps.
Yes, and as I said on to say earlier, you really have to be a bit lenient with these runners in terms of their execution and also their routing. Doing 3 of those matches in a row where you have to really... And there's the third reserve tank for Ponk. So we've seen all 4 by now. But if you do 3 of those matches straight after each other, you're not just a bit tired mentally because you have to pay attention and think about possibilities and where to go when you find this and that item. But it's also simply physically taxing, since playing SM is something...
hard.
Yeah, and it's tiring to your hands, so... I'm not surprised if we're seeing some little slips and mistakes from the runners at this point that they usually don't make in runs, just because they're tired.
Total's got a really hard fight ahead of him.
Yes, and with no suits at all, both Fantoon and his flames are hitting him really hard. And Total almost getting hit by Fantoon repeatedly, with him spawning just next to his head.
He's down to
While he
missiles.
Yeah, that means farming time, but thankfully they were pretty generous.
He's actually making this look pretty easy.
Yeah. I can tell from attempts in the past, in the long gone past, but in the past, that trying to fight Fantoon with the kind of equipment that Total has is unless you're good at the game, you're just going to die repeatedly.
That was a really good fight.
And while Total was busy with finding Fantoon, Ponk has made his way into Lower Norfair. This is... he has 4 E-tanks, and given that Ponk is a pretty good player, I don't expect him to die. But what he does is... very nice. But what he's doing here is anything but safe. Even with both suits, the enemies in Lower Norfair are hitting you really hard. And especially the key hunters. There are... quite threatening. Oh, and as I say it,
Ponk is just making all the right choices.
And getting lucky with it. Yeah, now that he has Plasma Beam, he will actually be able to kill those key hunters in a reasonable amount of time, because unless you have Plasma Beam with or without charge, those key hunters are not just doing damage like crazy, they're also absolute bullet sponges, and you basically have no chance to kill them in any reasonable amount of time. And with no high jump, Total is... And now he's getting it. He needs to do a bit of trickery, trying to get to Spiky Death Room. And he has no E-tanks, so the chances...
He did that room really well.
Yeah. And Ponk taking the worst room in the game, pretty safe, just supering away all of those enemies. Which is not a bad decision, given his E-tanks and everything. And having no high jump, because he now has to do those spring ball jumps, Or I think you can do a pixel perfect wall jump or something like that. But in any way, it's pretty hard. And I didn't see the item total picked up at Wrecked Ship E-Tank, but it seems to have been vanilla since he now has an E-Tank.
Yep.
That's still not making... Oh, and we see textbook spiky death rooms in both directions from total, not taking a hit. Very nice.
And that was a really good amphitheater by ponk. That room is really difficult without high jump boots.
Yeah, one of those many rooms in the later areas of the game where you have no idea how difficult they are without high jump until you see a runner try it without high jump and run into problems. And total checking the Wrecked Ship reserve item. We know it won't be a reserve tank, but instead it's just an E-tank. The question is now if Total is going to pick it up. Picking up the Wrecked Ship reserve item is quite costly in terms of time, since you have to do the power bomb, line up the robots into their pits, then do the shine spark, and then you have to fall down again and everything. It's quite an expensive item to actually get. On the other hand, he only has a single E-tank, but given the position he is in, I presume he's not going to get it. Ponk in the meantime making look low on warfare look anything but really hard. Making good progress, now fighting the ninja pirates.
And ponk has just barely enough ammo to kill Ridley. If all of his power bombs only hit once, he's got 19,000 damage worth of ammo. Ridley has 18,000 health.
Yeah. Ponk did not save, did he?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, then we're certainly going to see him farm up to 20, open the door, and then farm that 20th missile again.
So all Wrecked Ship had was just E-tanks.
Yeah, so Ponk's hopes that he probably had of finding some nice super packs on his way down to Ridley have not been fulfilled. And yeah, good luck to Ponk for this Ridley fight. It's certainly doable, and Ponk is a good runner, but yeah, can't make too many mistakes.
I'm so stressed.
So far this works out pretty nicely, with his power bombs hitting twice. So for those unfamiliar with this Ridley fight, regular missiles do 100 damage, super missiles do double damage on Ridley, so it's 600 a pop. And the power bomb does 200 per hit, and if you place them like Ponk did, you can make them hit twice, making a power bomb 2/3 of a super missile. And Ridley has 18,000 health, meaning pretty much exactly 30 supers. And yeah, so far this fight looks pretty good from Ponk. I don't expect him to have. I expect he will have to reset.
I am in awe right now. That was such an amazing fight. And Total is checking X-ray.
Yeah, Ponk is living the sexy life, while Total is yeah.
High jump boots behind Ridley. What a reward.
Yeah, Ponk is certainly going to enjoy those. And Total, in the meantime, yeah, looks a bit like he is the guy that knows that he is behind, has been pressured into doing things that didn't pay off, and just ended up being pressured even more. That's the equivalent of a real-life debt spiral that he's experiencing, and it's not a nice thing. We basically saw not a wrecked ship, but a wrecking ship. On the other hand, Ponk has no idea what happened to Total, so he probably is still doing this under the assumption that Total is right on his heels, if not slightly ahead. So he isn't living a relaxing life. He got the high heels, but he doesn't know that he has the time to take them out for a dance.
I'm still amazed at that Ridley fight. That was flawless. All of his power bombs hit twice. He didn't miss a single shot. I don't even think he got hit once, did he?
I'm not sure, but if he did get hit, it wasn't often. Oh, and my chat client for the Twitch chat just took a nosedive.
Ponk. Okay, playing it safe, just killing them. It would be a shame to die to the Three Musketeers after that beautiful Ridley fight. So Total took down Kraid. Right now he's got to be feeling a little bad. In where Varia was. I think the only hope that he probably has in his mind right now is that Ponk also died in the Wavegate room.
Yeah, I guess this is his hope, but probably not his assumption. One item we haven't seen yet is Charge Beam.
Yeah.
And
Croc's
it looks
gonna have it.
It might be. Total's hope at this point would probably be that Croc is just a ruse, and that Ponk is going through there without coming out with anything useful. But it might very well be. And there we have Screw Attack. Or Ponk. I guess he really would have wanted to have that for Low on Warfare, since it would have made things a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
But well, he got out there alive already, so it's not too bad. But he might be questioning himself whether Total might have jacked Croc early and have gained the lead doing a faster Low on Warfare.
And Total finds his second suit.
And Ponk is going to check the original grapple beam location every second now. Question is, yet another E-tank? Oh, and he just misses it. Losing a bit of time trying to get up there with speed booster, high jump, and a wall jump.
And there's Charge Beam. Nice! Now Ponk is in full go mode.
Yeah, and to quote you from earlier, Ponk is making all the right choices. He basically has everything he needs to do Meridia, which is conveniently on his way to G4. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see a time that is substantially below 1 hour from Ponk finishing this race. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually forgot that Ponk has not yet killed Fantoon.
Yeah.
But that basically just means that he has to do a short detour after going through Meridia and pay Fantoon a short visit. So in terms of boss route, Ponk is doing a very, very nice one. That's going to make him not waste a lot of time traveling between different areas of the game.
His movement is so good this game.
Yeah, not even Total's rigging by decompiling his ROM and checking for all the item locations could help him this time. And we see a generally nice Meridia from Ponk. Can see that he knows pretty much what he's doing and also has done it enough times to make it look pretty much smooth and enjoyable just watching it. And I also guess we won't see any major item location checks from him anymore. He might decide to go look for Dragon's item, but I doubt even that is going to happen.
Yeah, he'll probably pick up the E-tank after Botloon. Because he will need health for Dragon.
If it's an E-tank.
Well, the bombs were at Gauntlet. Total's got space. No. And all
right,
reserves have been found.
Oh yeah, you're right. It has to be an E-tank actually.
I know I'm right.
I think the only option that's left would be X-ray.
It was the first item in Wreck Ship.
Yeah, I didn't pay enough attention. So yeah, I agree he's probably going to pick it up just for the refill.
Nope. Guess not.
Well, making us look like the idiots that we are. And Total also discovering one of the 4 E-tanks. He's just, I guess Total is going to be, I guess Total is pretty much frustrated at this point.
Yeah.
With dying and then doing some risky things, and they don't work out at all.
What if Ponk gets sniped by these turrets and dies? Because he can't destroy all of them.
Well, that would turn the tables on
That
on
would
him
be so crazy.
quite substantially. It's not like we wouldn't have seen something like that in this tournament before. I mean,
that plasma beam
Stravara's
just not even hit? Uh-oh. 90 health. Come on, Ponk. Oh, okay. He's got it. He's got enough ammo now.
I mean, we saw Stravara soft locking at bot wound because he unfortunately misremembered his item situation, and he had quite a substantial lead in this race. And that's just one instance where we've seen crazy reversals. But not at Dragon this time.
Got total checking GT. What was GT? Plasma? I think it was plasma.
Yeah, I think GT was plasma. The cherry on top of Ponk's routing decisions. And Total getting his plasma beam. And if it is as I imagine, and Total knowingly did early wreck chip with the assumption that a Ponk that wouldn't have died as he did would have not done it, he probably is expecting Ponk to be done pretty soon. And he probably knows that he is in a very bad spot. And Ponk is out of Meridia and on his way up to Criteria. And just a quick trip to wreck ship short of being able to enter Torian. So basically Ponk has to do a quick detour to the wrecked ship, while Total is still on his way down in Lower Norfair and would have to go through the entirety of Meridia on his way to G4. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that Total is probably 12-13 minutes behind.
Total gave us a really good show, though.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's unfortunate that this third match has had him die pretty early on. I think from what we've seen so far and what we're seeing now in terms of general movement, and also before in terms of routing, we could see they are not just about the same speed, but also very similar in how they do their routing decisions. And if two runners are that close together, and you know that there's always a bit of randomness and luck deciding who wins which match. Yeah, it's hard to say any of those really deserve the win. They're really just too similar, and none of those two deserves to actually lose.
there's Ponk's last boss.
And we know Total is in for quite a bit of farming time before Ridley, with just a single super missile left. I mean, he would need insane drops from the Ninja Pirates to not end up farming for basically over a minute before entering Dragon. And he also is at the same pretty tight ammo situation that Ponk was in when he entered his Ridley fight.
Yeah, so... let me think. Total has 5 less missiles, but if he checks the power bombs of shame, he'll have the same exact count that Ponk did. And he's going to. It's ridiculous how similar these runners are.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen route divergence between the two in this race.
That was just out of desperation. I think if Total didn't die, they would have done the exact same thing the whole way through.
Yeah, and we see it at in the specific parts. They're pretty much doing the same.
Ponk is dual boxing. See, bombs were in Gauntlet and X-Ray was the very first item in Wreck Ship.
You know what we should do, Becky? We should ask both of these runners to join us for a little interview after this race. And if it turns out that none of them, or just one of them, accepts that, we have another point in our indications that there actually is not a Ponk and a Total as two separate entities.
That's the only reason I did an interview after my race with Sephi, so people could hear us both at the same time. Are you in the SRL chat?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not.
Oh, I meant the SRL Discord. I'm not actually in the SRL race channel.
Let me pull it up.
And Ponk is coming up on the baby skip. I presume he's going to try it since he has wave beam. Pretty much everything else. High jump boots, space jump. Oh, and Ponk is missing the baby skip. Facing right to save those 40 frames.
I think those 40 frames might win him this race.
Well, it's unfortunate to say, but they aren't really that close. Would have been nice. Would have been nice if we've seen a race between those two that was basically coming down to something like 40 frames, because it would do their similar level of routing and execution justice, really.
Alright, here's Total's fight. So remember, he only has 1,000 extra damage.
And that power bomb only hit once. This one hit twice. one is going to hit twice too. In the meantime, Ponk is getting his zap skip easily. And Total so far has been doing a pretty good job with this Ridley fight too.
I think he's good to go. Ridley's already red.
Yep.
Oh.
And the tail eating those supers, or that super. Not a good thing to happen.
Ponk surviving Mother Brain. It's good.
Yeah. Doesn't
Alright,
have
Ridley's
enough.
down.
Yeah. And with 3 power bombs to spare. So we've seen that Total is. I mean, the execution from Ponk was a bit better than what we saw from Total, but still, pulling off what Total did here, it looked easy, but it isn't. It's pretty you have to be. It is a bit tricky to get Ridley locked into this into the loop that we saw earlier, where he basically tries to evade the power bomb and does nothing except going back and forth and taking power bomb hits, and also the rest of the fight. And I see the chat has arrived at one of the all-time high topics of the internet, arguing between Imperial and metric system.
There's really no argument. Metric is much better.
I totally agree, but the discussion about this thing is something that has been going on the internet probably since at least the 80s. And I guess the next big thing we will see in chat is whether people use Emacs, VI, or don't have an opinion about that. And I can tell you, if you prefer VI over Emacs, you would also save the animals.
I feel like that's an unfair assumption.
My statistical sample might be small, but I'm convinced to be right. After all, VI is the editor of the devil. Ooh, and
oh, what are you doing?
Oh, he has 200 health in reserve tanks. I was scared there for a second too, but he can afford to tank the hits. It's going to cost him in time to get that health back, but he wasn't really in danger of dying. In the meantime, Ponk is making his way to the ship, and probably. Yeah, I really think the intense pressure that Ponk probably felt during all of the matches in between him and Total forced him to do the right thing and not save the animals. And GG to Ponk. It's really hard to say one of these runners is better than the other, but so far we've seen slightly better execution from Ponk. So I can't say that that the wrong person won this race, but it's disheartening to see Total being so close all the time and winning the first match, being the second in this. So GG also to Total. Wonderful performance we saw in those first two races, and very unfortunate what we saw in the third one. At this point, I want to also do a shout out to our tracker. I think who was our tracker? Maniacal. Yeah, shout outs to Maniacal. Those trackers just do not get enough love. They're doing a wonderful job doing all the tracking in the background, soon to be made obsolete by something that Total, I think, has been brewing, but still, shoutouts to them. They don't get the people tracking don't get to blab at the chat all the time, like we commentators do, but they're still doing wonderful work, and it's just not recognized enough. So everybody go follow Maniacal. He's also a great runner. And I've seen that we have gotten a visit by Ponk in our voice chat, but conspicuously not by Total. So hello there, Ponk.
Yo, what's up, Bender? What's up, Becky?
Yo, first congratulations on winning that race.
Thank you.
You've seen the times from your first two matches, and it was pretty close both times.
Oh yeah, I saw that. First one was pretty depressing, being in the last escape room and then seeing Total Dot Dunning. It's not so nice.
The worst.
Yeah.
So, how are you feeling going into the third race after how close the first two were?
I felt extremely nervous, and it didn't really get better over the time. Like, the seed was complete garbage, so many reserve tanks. I mean, it started off well with Spring Ball, but from there on, I mean, not a single E-tank till no fair. I almost died, and Bunser was just... And it was especially cool because Total told me in the SRL chat that he hopes that I die to some stupid Brinstar enemy, like many times. So I guess that was kind of the irony behind that we would just get 0 E-tanks.
Karma.
And then, like, both suits, and it was just amazing, but, like, nothing to go into the one-off-air. Ammo was just garbage. I had to really calculate how many power bombs I need for this Ridley fight to work out. And then I was, like, constantly thinking, would Total go to Crocomire first, and would it be something like high jump boots or anything? And when I saw, like, after low and offer, when I went to Crocomire, because I wanted charge beam, there was no way I could skip charge beam with this few ammo. I thought, like, okay, yeah, Total has probably already have charge, and screw, he will just be so far ahead of me. And from there on, I was just constantly thinking, okay, Total has to be, like, miles ahead of me. And just nerve-wracking.
Yeah, so our suspicion was that you would be really pressured because you don't know that Total actually died and you were in a huge lead.
Yeah.
So that turned out to be true.
Yeah, I was super nervous. I mean, Total is such a great runner. He's so experienced. I mean, there is obviously a lot of memery about like how he could just hack into the program because he does the randomizer. But to be fair, Total has just so much more experience than I do, and it was such a pleasure to race him, and such a great runner. So he definitely pulled the best out of me in those races for sure.
You probably don't know that yet because you haven't seen the races, but you've basically been doing the exact same things all the time. In the first match, you did go for an early gauntlet check, and that was basically the only difference the entire time.
That was probably also what killed the run.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You were just trying to like, catch up the whole time.
And in the second race, you basically did not check Mother Brain missiles, and that was also the only difference and what made you win. And everything else was basically just room for room and button press for button press the same.
It's pretty nice, but honestly, to be completely fair, it doesn't really surprise me. Because Total and I have been doing so many practice races, like this last week, like pretty much since the randomizer's out, and we have always been doing pretty much the exact same route. We talked a little bit about it in SRL, and like the thing with Total is like knowing that you have someone who usually thinks like you. You constantly think, okay, if I mess up a room, he's probably going to be ahead of me because he does the same thing, and he just needs to not mess up the room and he'll be ahead, which puts the pressure on a little bit more because you cannot. Like at this entire time, I did never think, okay, Total would be dumb enough to go up to X ship. Like, okay, obviously before his death, but like I always knew Total would pretty much do the exact same thing that I did, and it just made it like so nerve-wracking for me.
Well, you certainly really held up quite well under that kind of pressure.
Thank you. But yeah, you guys. Total is here. Total.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
How's it going?
congratulations. That's
Thank you.
3 nice races.
For sure. Sorry for the death. I think it would have been really, really close if not for that death.
Oh yeah, I kind of got pressured into doing weird things after that death. I just rushed wreck chip, hope that it would pay off because last race you said you wouldn't go wreck chip with low E-tanks, so I figured you certainly didn't go wreck chip. So if I do that and it paid off, I'd be maybe back in the race.
I mean, what's maybe space jump? That could have been like the only thing there. It's just everything in Norfair.
Yeah, space jump. I found space jump before Norfair, but
X-ray.
yeah, it was
Oh,
X-ray.
you did 30 X-ray?
Yeah, we want 2 E-tanks. That's good enough.
You did a 0 E-tank Fantoon, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to refill from reserves in mid-fight to not die.
And he made Total actually made that Fantoon fight look like something that's not really hard at all. So at this point, congratulations from our side to you also, Total. Very, very good and very, very solid performance you gave us in this matchup.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good. I knew it would be super close, but well,
Good job.
fortunately I died to a stupid mistake, and then I just was on full tilt after that. I think I made the right call of just rushing wreck chip after
I agree. Like you knew that I wouldn't go that
yeah,
route, and it was
exactly.
like,
So that was
Right,
my
yeah.
like chance. If let's say if Gravity or even Varia suit was there,
oh yeah,
I would be back in the game for sure. Because there wasn't enough E-tanks to hell run.
Yeah.
So,
Good job
but
on
it's
your guys'
just how it
Ridley
goes.
fights.
When I found Gravity, I knew that okay, I'm just never finishing this before you. Because not only did I die, I wasted so much time in wreck chip for no reason.
Oh yeah.
So my
So
only hope was
one-
that you died or soft locked at Ridley.
That Ridley fight was really funny, by the way. I had like
Yeah.
40, what was it, like 40, 20, and like had to even out the rest with power bombs.
Yeah, same here. 40, 20, 15.
Oh yeah, it's just so dumb.
So some theory we had, and that isn't really entirely disproven yet, is that actually Ponk and Total are one and the same person playing the same game with just a video recorder that delays one of the races slowly for about 2 minutes. So can you confirm that you're actually 2 separate physical entities?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
I mean,
at
if
the
someone would
moment.
be able to program such a thing, that would be Total here, or me, or that's the same. Who knows?
Yeah.
So the conspiracy theories can live on.
For sure.
Yeah, indeed. Wouldn't even say that it's a conspiracy. It's just probably true. Either way, thanks for the races today. It's
Thanks.
been good fun, and good luck
Same here.
beating your next opponent. And I'll try to get back in the losers bracket and beat you again.
I mean, hey, dude, if you want to meet in the final, I'm down for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. We'll see. We'll see. There might be a rematch.
We'll see.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so thank you also to both of you, Total and Ponk, for joining us here and giving us your impressions of this race. And yeah, also thanks in general for taking part in this tournament and giving us this wonderful entertainment.
and thank a lot for the commentary. I'm sure it was great.
I have no idea, but Becky, of course, but Becky at least, she did a good job.
Yeah, make
No.
sure to follow Total and Becky and Bender, the entire crew.
You did a good job,
Yes.
Bender.
Especially follow Becky. She's a really good Super Metroid runner and really, really entertaining to watch. Follow her. And of
Alright,
course,
so,
you should
thanks for
also
having us.
follow. Thanks for joining us. And of course, also follow Ponk and Total. You basically have seen those matches. You know what to expect. Those guys are worth the follow. So yeah, let me take a quick look onto the schedule and whether we have some more races today. And it seems, unfortunately, like no. But you can still stay tuned. I'm not sure what's coming up on Speed Gaming or Speed Gaming 2. But despite the Super Metroid Tournament, there's other wonderful tournaments getting hosted, like A Link to the Past Entrance Randomizer. And at this point also shoutouts to Fiesel for doing all his magic with the Speed Gaming channels. Shoutouts to the trackers again. Also, shoutouts again to Becky for commentating with me. And yeah, I guess we're done for the night with Super Metroid. And I also thank all of you wonderful people in chat for joining us for this interesting race. And everybody, have a good night.
Can we do the see you next mission together?
Of course.
Okay.
See you next mission.
See you next mission.